and welcome everyone for this 360Suite user group, the last webinar for 2021. And as you can see, I did my best, my really best to configure my background to set up and give you a warm welcome, fired up my place. So I hope we'll be all good together today. I'm joined by Bruno and Patrick today. Hey guys.
Hey Tony. Nice to
Hey, good morning.
You guys have a Christmas? You have it? I found one yesterday in the office.
Look, I thought you guys would be more creative. Tony, where's your sweater?
I don't have one. I don't have one.
Well, okay, you've got a Christmas tree, so that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
I have the Christmas tree, fired up my place, and I have the hat, so I'm okay. I can go on. So yes, we'll be together approximately for an hour. Again, we decided to join one more time this year because 2021 was very intense with a lot of new stuff here, a lot of new products and innovation, and a lot of people who joined Wiiisdom this year. So continuing our growth, and this is mostly thanks to our customers. So thank you again. And as we're getting close to the end of the year, Patrick, if you don't mind showing the agenda, we wanted to meet one more time and take this opportunity to get back on those important news of the year, the most important one, the most important innovation that we brought to our product portfolio, and that's why we have Patrick today, and what is yet to come. Because we're like you, we consume software and we know how it is. You never have enough time to be always up to date. So we figured, let's sit one more time with our customers, and we thought that format was a good option. And also stay with us until the end of the webinar, because if we're lucky, we should have Chuck from GSA to be sharing his experience with you and with all of us, and how he's leveraging 360Suite. Before we start our part on the news, the first part, I just wanted to remind everyone to interact with us, use the chat on your right-hand panel, raise your questions. If we have time at the end of the webinar, we'll spend some time answering your questions. Also, let us know. I'm always curious. Let us know where you're following us from. We skipped that bit, actually, Bruno and Patrick. I'm based in Lille, France, European headquarters. Patrick is based in London. Bruno is based in Massachusetts, USA. So the whole world is watching us, guys. And I'm curious to know where you're following us from. So let's start. First thing first, the rebranding. So if you guys are not aware, 2021 marks a pivoting moment for us as a company. We have rebranding. I have to say it was a huge project. We spent months, we spent actually a year on this project. And if it's not clear to everyone, I wanted to take this opportunity of the user group to remind that no, 360Suite has not been acquired by another company. It's actually the contrary. We bought a company last year. So 360Suite remains 360Suite, same management, same people, same product, even better product. I wrote a whole blog about the reasons for the rebranding. So I won't get into the detail today, but basically, as we're establishing our vision for the next 10 years, we knew we needed to extend our capabilities to other analytics solutions. And so we wanted to reflect that evolution, if I can say, to a rejuvenated brand. So that's why GB & Smith became Wiiisdom, and 360Suite remains 360Suite. Another project that took us, if we continue into that first introduction part of the main news for this year, another project I was saying has been released on the same date of the rebranding is the Support Customer Center. So the portal was needed since a very long time. We wanted to offer you a central and secure place where you can access all the services that we provide, naming the help desk, the downloads, or even the knowledge center. Before that, we had different places to access those services. And it even get worse when we acquired that company, Kinesis CI, because we had no other place to maintain. So you can imagine for customers having both 360Suite and Wiiisdom Ops, which is the new name for Kinesis CI, by the way, it was a nightmare. So on September 8th, the same day of the rebranding again, we were pleased to release the customer center. So if you don't get your credential today, please let us know. You can reach out to your account manager. You can even let me a little comment in the chat, so I will figure it out offline. But I can, of course, grant you access. And actually, I know the portal is not perfect. It's very new. Patrick, if you want to show the next slide. We want to improve, of course, and we want to improve based on your feedback. So in the upcoming days, most probably early next week, everyone with a user account on the portal will receive a survey. So it will take you seriously like 2 minutes to take it. There's only a few questions. Just let us know what we can improve, what's important for you in terms of services that you want to see on that portal, and this will influence the roadmap for the months coming. And last thing I wanted to share, but not least, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of you today are having this question. So maybe we'll see those questions in the Q&A. Maybe we'll share more details later. But maybe Patrick, you want to complete what I will say. We just sent 2 communications regarding the Log4j vulnerability and how it impacts our product. The engineering team has been intensively working on analyzing what was going on, what product were impacted, what versions, and providing a patch for the new versions. So we're already on it, and your products are safe if you're upgrading. Patrick, maybe you want to complete what I'm saying about Log4j vulnerability?
Yeah, sure. So of course we woke up this weekend with like everybody with a 10 out of 10 very severe security issues. So we actively started to work on the investigating and patching straight away. We released yesterday a new version for 360 Eyes and for the 360 web platform. So as it said on the screen here, we were not impacted, but the libraries were there. For Eyes, not even used actually. For the web platform, we were not using the components which had this issue. So, but we chose to release a new version anyway to make sure that you're full confident that there is no issue here. And for some of you who are on our very, very old legacy 360 solution, you would know by now that it is no longer supported. It has not been supported in terms of patching for years anyway, but we don't even support it for Q&As since the 30th of September. So please simply migrate to the latest web platform. And if you need any assistance in upgrading, downloading, or anything at all, please contact your account manager, raise a support ticket, call Tony, especially after hours on Saturdays, Sundays. Type it in the chat. But yes, you should not be on legacy anymore, regardless of this Log4j issue. Please upgrade to the web platform where we've done all the necessary anyway.
Hey.
Yeah. Go ahead, Pedro.
Hey, thank you very much. By the way, also, so it looks like we're at the version of 2.16, Patrick. And I've
Yes.
read something this morning where in the US, the agency, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency actually is pushing people to go to the version 2.16, not to the 2.15. So I'm glad actually you guys from a product standpoint did the decision to go to 2.16. And I understand that organizations affected also will need to update, or federal organizations will need to update by December 24th. So that's pretty serious.
Yeah, so just to sum up, the best recommendation that we could do to our customers, Patrick, is upgrade to the most recent version. It's safer, even though maybe you're using a version that is not directly impacted. It's always safer to be on the most recent versions of our product, of any product actually.
Absolutely, yeah. None of your products were impacted. But yeah, please go on our website. It takes 5 minutes to update. It's very simple. If you come from legacy, it's a little bit more work, of course. So do get in touch. We can assist you with that.
Patrick, let's move on to the main innovation for 2021.
All right. Okay. So it's been a big year for us. So very exciting things to share about what happened, if you're not aware already, and what's our plan for next year. Now, when I talk about the plans for next year, this is the typical disclaimer you'll see from any software company, right? I'm talking about a roadmap which is not yet executed. Things can change at any time, of course. I'm sure you can appreciate that. So, but you know, it is still in our vision. So far for 2021, we have released everything we wanted in the way we wanted it, so that's great. But things I'll talk about today may change, and we'll be taking questions at the end. So as I talk about things, please don't wait. Enter your questions in the chat box or in the question box, and we'll make sure to come back to your answers well when we have some time. Tony mentioned that we have chosen to rebrand the company. There were very simple reasons for this, but one of them is, for those of you who have known us for a long time, you'll know that we started as a business doing administration tools for business objects, right? So today we have a portfolio, we have a suite of different modules, but the first one was an admin tool, the second one was an admin tool, and we were talking to administrators of business objects. That's how we started. Over the years, we started to speak to different kind of people in the companies. So the admin, of course, or the universe developer, the WebB developer, the BI manager, auditors, regulations. So we started to speak to everybody. And especially from the acquisition of this other company doing a solution for Tableau last year, it became obvious that we needed to, change our identity, because the message was no longer with 360 guys doing admin tools. No, we're Wiiisdom, and we're Wiiisdom. What do we want to do? We want to deliver trust to our customers, right? So the rebranding was important, and from the moment we decided that our future, our vision is to work on the trust aspect of things, and trust not only for the auditors but for the administrators as well. But we are doing trusted solutions, not admin solutions. Obviously, our vision for product development has changed at the same time. So it's been pretty busy, like I said, in 2021, and I'll go into more details in the next 2 or 3 slides. But we have invested a lot in 360Suite, right? It's still our historical component. We have brought 360 Bind and 360 Cast in the web platform. So the web platform is our, like we said earlier, it is our latest edition. It's been around for a few years, but we were not at parity yet with the old legacy system, which is why legacy only ran out of support earlier this year. We still had to port 360 Cast and 360 Bind to the web platform. So I'm very pleased to say that it is now, of course, completed, and there's even more features in the web platform than there were before. So absolutely no reason not to upgrade, especially since we have provided migration tools to migrate your existing to the new version. So now we have a web platform giving you all the solutions, and our focus is still on governance, administration, monitoring your content, but automating all of these things, as well as helping you with your audit and your metadata extraction. So again, I'll go into more details about other things we've done in 360Suite, but it's been a really big year. You may have heard that we have released a brand new product called 360 Eyes for SAP Data Services. It's very simple. If you are using SAP Data Services, you want to speak to us. It's 360 Eyes, as you know already. We connect to your data services, we extract metadata, you can document your repository. Once it's documented, what can you do with it? You can do investigations to help your developers, assisting with updates, checking your execution to make sure that your ETL has run on time with the right amount of records, so your BI, your end results, your webbies will display the right information. We can help you understanding the lineage, so you can understand the impact analysis between your jobs, your workflows, your data flows. So again, it's a new product. We extract a lot. You consume this information in Webby reports as you would do with the standard 360 IS4 business objects. So if you have data services, get in touch with us. We'll give you an evaluation for free and play with the product. You'll love it. And last but not least, we're called Wiiisdom. So the future products will be called Wiiisdom, of course. And we have acquired this company called Kinesis CI, doing an amazing automated testing solution for Tableau. We have rebranded this product by Wiiisdom Ops, Data Ops, Analytics Ops. I'll come back to that really soon. And this solution is to test regression, test data, simulate user journey inside of Tableau. And we are working as we speak on the same solution for Microsoft Power BI. So I won't say more about Tableau and Power BI today, because this is a 360 Suite for Business Objects user group. But if you have Power BI, you have Tableau, you're interested to know more about our Wiiisdom Ops offering, once again, get in touch with your account manager or say something in the chat box and we'll come back to you offline. Right, Tony, I think we want to get a bit more about our audience today. You might be on
Yes,
mute.
definitely. Yeah, I was on mute, sorry. Yes, definitely. So the question is, what BI analytics technologies do you have today in your organization? We're limited to 5 answers. So if you're using more than what you can see here, Tableau, Power BI, Looker, ClickView, using maybe ThoughtSpot, Yellowbrick, or whatever, just click others. It's really interesting for us because it also influences from what Patrick just said. We acquired a solution for Tableau. We're making it available for Power BI. We cannot disclose more today, Patrick, for the future technologies, but of course we have plans. So, let us know.
Right, I don't know if I'm the only one with this problem, Tony. We could not hear you really well, but thank you for everybody who have voted. Yes, indeed, we're interested to know if you're using something else than business objects, because today we do Tableau, tomorrow we do Power BI, and of course, in the years to come, we are looking at doing more BI solutions. So thanks, Tony, for sharing the results. Yeah, and very pleased to see that Tableau and Power BI are really up there. That's great. And for those of you who said others, please go to the chat box and tell us what these other BI tools are, so we don't forget you in the future. Okay, so I said we decided to create this, to rebrand a new line of products for Wiiisdom Ops. And the reason is quite simple. Data Ops, which I'm sure you've heard of before, is reusing concepts coming from the software development world, and that is DevOps. And those are a set of good practices, methodologies, people's solutions, where you can automate the creation and the delivery of the content you're building. We do not see necessarily this much in the business objects world, but we see it quite a bit in the Tableau and Power BI environment, for instance, where people want to build faster, give delivery faster. How you do this? You want to test more frequently and automate these tests. You want to automate the promotion between environments and test again. And this continuous loop of integrating, testing, delivering, deploying means that you're becoming a more agile organization, and everybody wants to be more agile these days. So we have these solutions for now, like I said, for Tableau, this company we acquired, and we're replicating that for Power BI. But what is interesting is when we started to think about this, okay, wrong time. When we started to think about this, is we realized that we've been doing this all along for business objects for many years, and it's not a stretch to call it maybe BobJOps. And I'll detail what I mean by BobJOps on the next slide. Tony, would you like to launch a second poll, please?
Yep, definitely. So the second poll, sorry, give me 1 second, is does your organization currently uses agile methodologies with SAP business objects? I'm gonna display the poll. Can you see the poll, guys? So it's a yes/no question.
Yes. So the question is, do you work in an agile way? Agile way is, do you have multiple? Do you really work in dev, then you test, and you go to prod environment? When somebody says, "Hey, I need something new in the universe," do you spend 6 months doing it before you release it, or you will release things incrementally? Perhaps the customer wants 10 things, but the minute you have 2 things ready, you give these 2 things. Maybe it's not all of it, but you give value quickly. Do you test as frequently as you would want? Do you automate your processes? All of these things means working in an agile way. And the solution for working in an agile way is CI/CD. So I'm happy to see there's quite a few yes, because a lot of you here have our solutions, which we enable a lot of this. But if the answer is no, as always, it would be good to discuss, here or at another time, as to why you're not maybe working as agile as you would like, and if there's anything in our solutions that we could improve to make it even better. Of course, we are keen to hear about it.
Yeah, Patrick, it's quite even. I don't know if my connection is better now than earlier, but
yes,
you can see. Okay, nice. So you can see the result. 57% are saying no to that question. So maybe there's something we can do. Patrick, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. So, Wiiisdom Ops, Analytics Ops, and when you start thinking about what it takes to be Analytics Ops, well, you need a solution to test. We have 360 Bind. You need a solution to promote. We have 360 Plus. We need a solution to monitor. We have Bind. We have Bind. We have Live. So we have so many solutions that we build one after the other for different use cases, but we can absolutely tick all of the boxes of what Analytics Ops should be for business objects. And there were a couple of things missing for, to make sure that we could call 360Suite an analytics or even BobJOps solution. The first thing, we needed to do more around automation. So you know how it works. You create a task in 360Suite, you execute it, it runs in the background, and that's great. So we can execute things to run in the future or run offline. That's not really automation. So then we give you the ability to call our task externally from an external scheduler, or to be part of a Jenkins pipeline. That's great, we can do that as well. But what we have released just after the summer, we have released our first ever API, which we have incredibly expanded in 2021.4. So for those of you out there who work in a full automated agile way, using Git, using Jenkins, creating scripts, you can now use this knowledge that you have, these methods that you have, with the 360 web platform. And we can talk about a lot of scenarios, but You have your systems monitoring your business objects thanks to 360 Eyes. You now detect that some universes have been updated, but you would like to create your test automatically. So again, using the API, you can take all of these bits together and create your fully automated and dynamic pipeline. It's really, really cool. It's possible today, and we will continue to invest on that, of course, moving forward in the new year. You can't really work in an agile way if you cannot collaborate with your other developers, your business sponsors, the end users. So starting again, 2021.3, we now give you the ability to send notifications, not only to emails as you can do today, but to send it to Slack, to Microsoft Teams, to Google Chat, or to any other integration components that support webhooks. So again, have a look at our release notes. You see the link here. It's public on our website. You'll see the full details of all these new innovations that came out in 2021. And finally, in terms of big topic, the theme of 2021 was to improve the user experience. It's great. At least it's a website. It's a web page. That's great. Some of the bits were a little bit aging, so we have updated the libraries we used to do the user interface. We have simplified a lot of the processes. We have removed clicks. We have enabled a lot of shortcuts. You can double clicks how you search for things. So we've done a lot of work around the user experience. We even created a notification center, as you traditionally see in SaaS website software, where we can push information to you when a task runs successfully, when a task fails, and starting early next year, we'll even be able to send you some messages and recommendations in there, but I'll come back to you after that. So again, 2021.3 onwards, 2 massive big releases. Please update to benefit from the new features. And I'm sure you'll update anyway because of Log4j, so you get all of these things. So that is really awesome. So those are the 3 big themes of what we worked on this year. But again, we have released dozens and dozens of enhancements. Do have a look at the release notes for full details. Okay, and I have one more slide before we move on. Where are we going to in 2022? So, of course, the theme is trust. The theme is ops. So what are we going to do about that? First thing first, let's start with Bill Murray, one of my favorite actors, probably. We're starting with you. I received so many enhancement requests from you, our customers. Please continue to do so. We cannot do everything at the same time. Of course, for those of you here on the session today who have submitted enhancements, I am sure we have delivered at least some of them at one point or another. So please send your enhancements. I review them personally, one by one, and we will look at improving our software where it makes sense, of course, in the near future. So yes, we count on you. We will continue, so I will go clockwise. We'll then continue improving on automation. We're still going to improve our API so you can automate even more and use our solution more out of the box. This little robot you see on the right, it's something that I've had in my mind for a good couple of years now. I've been working here for 4 years now, before being a business objects consultant for too long before that. And what I love about our solutions, and I used to use 360Suite even before I joined the company, what I like about a product is that it can do everything. It's really, really powerful. What I like less is that when you install it, it's an empty, super powerful box that you need to implement these tests, implement these tasks, implement these things you want to do. I want to make 360Suite more readily available out of the box with some maybe templates of what you should be doing, or maybe telling you that you bought our backup solution, but you have no backup task running, you know, basic stuff like that. But I want to create a bit more intelligence. I want the web platforms to send you recommendation. Did you know about this? Yes or no? Would you like to act on this? Yes or no? And to push, to send you some intelligent recommendations, so then you can automate even further the recommended actions and recommended that you'd like to do. So again, a bit of intelligence out of the box would be really awesome. I'm sure you heard of SAP PCE. If you haven't, have a look online. It's something SAP is pushing a lot. We've done a lot of YouTube events with SAP. We will blogs. I mean, it's plenty of information out there. It's about SAP hosting business objects for you in their cloud, right? The benefits is simple. You don't have to install business objects. You don't have to patch it. You don't have to maintain a server. They do all that for you. All you do is use business objects. Now, it's not just a copy and paste. It's just not a lift and shift to do this, right? It's as if you're migrating from server A to server B, but server B, it's not you controlling it. So we are the preferred partner to help you to go to SAP PCE. Our solutions can help you to accelerate that and make do a lot quicker, and we'll even do more around PCE, so it's a big thing for us. Some of you will know of a legacy product called 360 Init. 360 Init will become part of the web platform very early next year. So we'll do sessions on that, but 360 Init is a solution where you can create your security model in an Excel template, and by using this template, business objects will receive that security automatically for you. That means that you can document it offline. You have an evidence of what you've done. It's easy to update your security model afterwards. So companies where you need to keep track of changes that have been done and by whom, and validating all this, 360 Init is a great security product. You'll love it. So that will come around February next year. Two more things. 360 Bind. 360 Bind is our automated testing solution. At the moment, what it does, it will take a Webby or a Crystal report, we'll take a snapshot of how it looks like today, for instance, and then you can take a snapshot of how it looks like tomorrow, and then you can compare. And we'll say, hey, between this version and this version, graphically speaking, there are some regressions, things are different, or the data in the background is different. Before it was 1 million, now it's something else. We'll tell you about the performance. So we'll give you a lot of information between the before and after. That's great when you apply a service pack. That's great when you change your ETL. That's great when anything changes that could affect business objects. We help you validating everything in a full automated way. What we'll release next year is the ability to compare the data held in the Webby report against the actual data held in the database. This is something we do for Tableau today. It's one of the favorite tests used by our customers, because what we do is what you see and what you make your decisions on is Webby. It's not a microcube, it's not the universe, it's not the formulas. No, you have a Webby, and the Webby says we lost 2%. You make a decision based on that 2%. Is that 2% right or not? Is there a mistake anywhere? You'll be able to compare that 2% versus the SQL statement that you want on top of your database. Then we'll tell you if there's any regression. So very, very strong and popular test for Tableau. We're not porting this into business objects. And finally, and this one will require a little bit of work, but it's quite, it will be super powerful when it's done. The 360 Hive will now be inside the 360 web platform. It will be the same 360 Hive we have today, the same way to launch it for our existing customers, but this will ease the installation of it, the configuration, the support. And now that everything will be together, will be to build even more this intelligence and that automation I was talking about. So no change in the existing capabilities, but having eyes hosted inside of the platform will expand our capabilities many times more. So really exciting about this. All right, I think that is it for me for what's coming up next year.
Well, Patrick, we had one more question for the audience. That is, if they'd like to be able to run regression tests against SQL queries. Maybe Patrick, you want to explain what exactly we mean by that?
Well, it's that last feature I was just talking about. So would you like to be able to compare data you have in your Wiiisdom or your Crystal and make sure that that data is relevant, is the same as what is in your database? So in your database, if you do a sum of revenue between this and this date and the answer is 1 million, you really see 1 million in your Wiiisdom. Because if you don't see a million in your Wiiisdom, then maybe you have some filters or some prompts which are wrong in Wiiisdom. Somebody did something wrong in the universe. So that way you can validate that you have not added some regression by impacting how the data has moved between the actual source and the final product where you make your decision. So thank you for voting. The results are great. Looks like
Hey,
I think you'll be happy with the result, Patrick.
Definitely, we're on to something good, which is great. So I can't wait to show it to you. It will be about mid of next year, hopefully just before summer.
Hey, thank you very much, Patrick, for all these updates. So we had a couple technical issues. I'm actually trying to have our presenter, Chuck Lewis from GSA on, and there were just a few last-minute hiccups. So I'm going to share my screen, and then Chuck is actually trying to join right now through his phone. So just hold on, I'm just becoming a presenter, share my screen. I need to know which.
Now. Yeah.
Sorry?
You are presenter now.
Okay, very good. I'm just trying to figure out which screen I'm going to show. Show my screen. No. Okay. Hold on.
We see your email here, Bill.
Got it.
And now we see.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be having Chuck joining just in a second. So sorry about that. This event is live, and
I think I'm on.
so can everybody hear Chuck or not? So that's cool. So that worked out, Chuck. That's excellent.
All right, good.
So Patrick, Patrick, Tony, are you guys hearing Chuck?
Yes, we can hear him. We're glad he's been able to join.
So anyway, hey, good morning, everyone. I'm super happy today to be with Chuck Lewis from GSA. So yeah, Chuck is actually based in Texas, where he's working with GSA. So Chuck, you want to say a couple of words, just say hi and introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning. Chuck Lewis, business objects administrator and basically jack of all trades for GSA. Been doing this for, well, I see Bob J now for about 16 years, and relatively new to 360Suite, but so far impressions are very good, and looking forward to this.
Thank you very much, Chuck. And Chuck, would you mind going to the next slide? So you've got control of the slides. So, and if it's an issue, I can actually take control of the slides.
All right.
Okay, awesome. We just saw your, the slide moving. So, Chuck, can you tell us, some people, don't know what GSA is, because we've got some audience in the US and we've got an international audience today as well. So what is GSA at a very high level doing today?
At a high level, what we basically do is we provide services for different agencies within the government, and we eliminate a lot of the pricing and research issues where we go in, we have approved vendors, we have approved cost lists, and you can basically buy everything from services to computers to cars to buildings. And then we also work with the Office of Finance for a lot of our HR and payroll. So that's GSA as a whole, and as far as our portion of that, we're responsible for a lot of the financial transactions, record keeping, and reporting.
Okay. Thank you very much. And yeah, typically you've got a GSA pretty much in every country. So I see a lot of people in France today, and like GSA in France would be like the UGAP, UGAP in French. So thanks a lot. So Chuck, if we can move on to the next slide. So what can you tell us about your BobJ within GSA? So, how is it?
Right now, we're sitting pretty good. We are currently using 4.3 SP1 patch 3. To be honest, we've been happier with this particular version as far as overall usage and performance. Pretty much since 3.x, 4.0 was really a rough upgrade. 4.1 was a little better. 4.2 starting to get good. 4.3 is probably the most stable platform that we've been on since 3.x. And the primary reason that we have migrated to this particular version was due to security reasons. We are constantly getting security scans, and there's a problem with this. And as we know, with the zero-day vulnerability that's out right now with the Logi 4, you're constantly being hit with these. So in order for us to upgrade our OS platform and to maintain our security findings status with our area, we've had to upgrade to 4.3.
Okay. And we'll talk later on about your 4.3 upgrade. And then, so Chuck, I see you've got actually a pretty wide or pretty large environment. You've got like 175K objects in production, which I would say it's not a mom and pop shop. So it's actually quite large environment.
We have a very good environment, and the biggest thing that has I want to say made us stand out is of those particular objects, about 40 to 45% of those objects are highly complex. One particular set of reports, 10, 12 reports for this particular reporting purpose, it took a team about 6 months to develop. And that's not due to the product, it was simply due to the complexity. We've really tried to maintain a separation between business objects as an application and a reporting functionality and the data. So we do not allow anybody to write back to any data. We simply have read only, and we have no control over our data sources. And going through the Data Act a while back, the transparency of government spending, we basically had to take quite a few disparate systems and compare them against each other, validate the numbers, and do the reporting, which again really, really limits us as to what we are able to do because of that, not the ability to write back to anything or modify anything to our needs.
Okay. And Chuck, what can you tell us about, so you just told us about your BobJ environment, and how do you guys use BobJ within GSA?
We will use it for, oh, I'm sorry. So as I said, we handle a lot of the financial reporting, record keeping for multiple agencies. There are external agencies that actually have GSA providing payroll services. We also do HR and payroll for internal. We do reporting for the Railroad Retirement Board, OPM, NCUA, and again, multiple GSA agencies themselves. So as we're doing these, everybody knows you go through a month-end closeout reporting, quarter-end, financial year-end. We also have to, like I said, do the Data Act reporting and the reporting to Treasury. And so all those records, not only do we have to report on those items, but we're also required to maintain those records 6 years, 9 months. So it's quite in depth.
And just for the audience, so for people that are not familiar with the Data Act, so all the federal agencies have to report, I believe, on a monthly basis around, I think, their spending to the Treasury and to OMB.
Yes, and that was another very, very large project, because the different areas that we were providing these services for, data can be in a different format, can be in a different place, can be in a different table. So trying to reconcile all of these different data sources and then actually do a final reconciliation on a lot of the financials was extremely difficult.
And and I'm assuming BobJ has been very helpful. Actually, there are a lot of federal agencies that are using BobJ actually to be sending these financial reporting to Treasury and OMB. Actually, I think there's a solution on the market called the CFO Control Tower that does that, and they leverage behind the scene BobJ. I've seen a project with DOJ on that lately. And then last point, Chuck, so tell us about, at high level, what do you guys do in terms of report centralization?
Where this comes into play a lot of times is because a lot of our, again, handling payroll and HR, if anybody who's ever had a problem with your paycheck and it's not correct, you need somebody to go in and find out what the problem is. And so they're going to need access to a lot of confidential and sensitive information. So we have BobJ set up with very, very high security in a separate system, where we allow our HR personnel the ability to go in and create ad hoc reports, so they can search a particular person's payroll information for a specific pay period, and then find out where the problems were, correct the problems, and then that gets sent on out to payroll, and the problems usually are resolved. Another thing that this really helps us with is, overall tracking of time and attendance and payroll and benefits.
Okay, so Chuck, I was able to take control of that slide, so that'll be easier. So in terms of challenges, so at GSA, when we prepared this this event, so you had mentioned there were 4 challenges that you'll cover today.
Yes, are you on the next slide? Because I didn't see them.
Yes, I am. So I think that the 4 challenges were visibility and documentation, lineage and impact analysis, upgrades and migrations, and then regulatory requirements. So let's go to the first one. So what can you tell us about visibility and documentation, Chuck?
Anybody who's dealt with BobJ knows that BobJ, in regards to reporting against itself, is the black hole. It just does not give you any visibility to what's going on inside of BobJ. Going through multiple consolidations, we've actually inherited 1, 2, 3, 4 other systems, and either consolidated or actually had to rebuild a lot of their reporting capabilities. With that, we need to be able to look into what reports are actively being used, what is the frequency, what is the volume, and that's always been a challenge with BobJ. Then if dealing with these data sources, if they decided to change over a particular table structure, it was very difficult to identify every place where that particular object was being used within different universes, within reports, to find out exactly what type of an impact that was going to put on our developers to go in and change all this. Impact analysis was almost non-existent. Going through the upgrades and migrations, that is where it used to be once a year, once every 2 years, we would go through this. It almost seems like now this is about a quarterly activity. With the regulatory requirements and the security requirements that are literally coming in daily, a lot of times we really feel like that we can barely get finished with one upgrade before we're starting a second.
Yeah, and I hear you. That's something that we hear pretty much from everyone. And in terms of visibility and documentation, so you had mentioned you had like 2 stories where you've leveraged 360. So I think in the past, you had mentioned it was very difficult for you guys to be able to document all the universes. So
as far as anything that we've done, as far as documenting, well, specifically the universes, we actually had 2 to sometimes 3 people working, and I want to say part-time, working on documenting each one of the universes and each one of the tables, each one of the areas that the data came from, documenting all of this and storing it. By the time I was able to get 360 up and installed, they had been working for about 6 months, and they had about 40% of the universes mapped, but a lot of the data was incomplete and it was inconsistent. As soon as I got this up and running, that was one of my first test cases, if you will, and I ran a complete universe documentation, ran about 8 different sets, sent them out, and they were like very, very impressed. But we would really like to have, this data and this data, and we don't need that. And with my limited knowledge of the program, I was able to actually go in, modify the jobs that I needed to gather the information that they wanted, presented in the way that they wanted, and I was able to completely map every universe that we have and provided them twice the information that they were getting, and I had it completed in 3 days.
Okay, so whatever it took 6 months in the past for 2 persons, basically, and was not as complete, you're able to pull out in 3 days with 360. That's pretty cool. And you want to share the story that was quite interesting, where in the past you had no visibility on the scheduling, and tell us about that story.
Yeah.
That was pretty weird. Actually, that I heard also about that story from the support. So
well, that was actually one of my primary reasons for even requesting this specific tool, is because I kept noticing that my storage in my environment was growing inconsistent with the other environments that had replicated data. So it had to be user data, but trying to find that specific data was rather difficult. Anybody who's used Query Builder knows that, I mean, the relationships there are very difficult to follow and to go through. So in getting this particular product, I was able to go through, and I ran across my top 10 users, and I went and I had a particular user who had a report scheduled, and I want to say it was scheduled to run every hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and was not scheduled to end until 2033. And by the time I got a hold of him, he had thousands of instances. So I contacted the user and I said, "Excuse me," I said, you've got, thousands of these instances in there. I was like, I said, it's impossible for a person to actually use that much data. So can you tell me what's going on? And he was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you contacted me because I need help trying to fix that. I was setting this up. I set it up incorrectly, but I don't know how to fix it." And so we actually were able to go in, eliminate a lot of that, fix his report, the customer was happy, and a lot of my space challenges were reduced quite a good bit.
And in the past, like prior to 360, so you are using Query Builder?
Used Query Builder extensively. I actually find that especially like in 4.3, you do have the CMS driver for the reporting with your universe and everything, but the way that the structure is set up and the relationship between the layers was rather difficult to follow the lineage, the concept, the dependencies. And even when I was able to work through some of those within the drivers, a lot of the information within that that I can get with Query Builder was not in the CMS driver, universes and reports. And so I find myself consistently going back to the Query Builder, and I've actually used that quite a good bit because I could get the data that I needed. But it was very difficult to get it in a relatively easy manner. Once you were able to retrieve the data, it was just as difficult to reorganize it and use it actually in a report.
So in terms
those
of,
were the.
yeah, good.
Go ahead.
So in terms of a lineage and impact analysis, so that was also, like what you were mentioning was like an important need in the past, and how are you doing before, and how are you doing things now on that leveraging?
Yeah, now that we've got 360, we're able to generate these reports. It's almost like a very nice blend between the ease and the GUI front end of the CMS driver with the granularity and detailed information that you would actually get out of Query Builder. To me, that's kind of what 360 has provided with me so far. And again, I'm still relatively new with the product, but one of the things that has been very, very helpful to us is that documentation, the impact analysis. Those have been invaluable just since I've installed it. Now, going a little bit further, as everybody knows, with all the security regulations that are coming out, everything that happens, they want to know who, why, when, where. And with Query Builder, a lot of times I could get them information about a point in time. But with 360, I'm not only able to give them, like say what has happened right now, but what did it look like before, or give me a little bit more detailed information as far as the history of actions.
And how is the lineage and impact analysis helping you with users? So I'm assuming you've got some users doing a doc reporting within BobJ. Is that correct, or?
Yes, we actually have, in fact, all of our users have the ability to do ad hoc reporting. So what we'll do is we'll create, I want to say, more of a generic report that will pull in specific data, pull in specific fields, and then when we make that report available to our users, we allow them to copy the report down and then modify it by usually extracting data that they don't need. There have been times where they've needed to add data that we did not include in that particular report to make the customized report for their needs. The other thing that has been very helpful as far as the ad hoc reporting is the ability for them to go in and specifically create a report that serves their business need. And a lot of times the ad hoc reporting is not something that they're going to use over and over as much as it is they're going to use it for an end result. Such as the HR with the payroll problems, where they need to go in and they need to pull a history, they need to pull this information. Once they have that information, now they can actually act on it perform a function, change this, make any whatever it is that they need to fix. Once that's done, a lot of times they'll get rid of that one and move on to the next. But it's the ability to do that ad hoc reporting that a lot of my users use.
And in terms of time saving, you're mentioning something like 80%. Is that accurate?
You talking about for the ad hoc reporting?
For the lineage and impact analysis, the amount of time typically it helps you save. So.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Because prior to a lot of the reports that we have run, in order to do any type of analysis, we did keep good records. But as you know, if you were to go and open up each individual universe document file, search for this specific object that was being changed, now you're going to have to go through every universe. You're going to have to look at every document. You can do your searches, but nonetheless, you're going to have to physically look through everything. Whereas now with the 360 and the ability to have all of this in one place, we're able to perform impact analysis, and 80% is generous. 80% savings is generous.
Okay, that's cool, and
it
I'm
could
assuming
even be more than that.
Okay, well that's good news, and I'm assuming before it was always you'd go and see all the developers, and then they would all assume, or that's what we hear from customers, they would be assuming, well, I know this object is coming from there, it's linked this way, and it was always based on internal knowledge, hoping that people wouldn't leave the organization, I'm assuming.
Yes, absolutely. That is absolutely critical in our environment. Like I said, 40 to 45% of our reporting capabilities, they're extremely complex. It is not an easy job. In fact, if I even hire a developer to begin working on a project, from my onboarding process through my learning curve to where they're actually functioning and productive is a absolute minimum of 90 days. Usually it is 6 months to 1 year before they're actually familiar enough with everything that we do and how we do it, and how it's all arranged before they really become productive. So legacy knowledge is absolutely critical to not only our organization, but to our specific department. And the ability to take that and go and get some of this information now with 360, yeah, it's because I mean, personnel will change eventually. That's a given. So, yeah, having it documented is priceless.
And I'm assuming there in that case for the onboarding, since you're documenting everything and you've got now the lineage and impact analysis, it's not really a concern anymore because you've got like an accurate view of what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it will probably cut the learning curve in half.
Nice.
You know, again, you're still going to have a certain amount of familiarity that's going to have to come just simply by you know, understanding everything that we do, where it's at, stuff like that. But as far as the ability to have a view into where some of these things are located, how they're arranged, where you can get this information from 360 versus having to get it from another developer. Yeah, it's, like I say, to me, priceless, because I've lost legacy knowledge before and had to rebuild it by reverse engineering things.
And you've been in this position, you know, at GSA, I'm assuming, for quite a few years.
Yes, I've been doing this one since 2008.
Okay, that's actually.
I've been working on Bob J before it was called Bob J.
So Bob, Chuck, so in terms of upgrades and migration, so I understand GSA now is in 4.3. Why have you
Yes.
moved to 4.3, and what have been the challenges there?
Honestly, the challenges moving from 4.2 to 4.3 were actually, but for that one, were actually minimal. 3.x to 4.0 was absolutely excruciating. 4.0 to 4.1 was, triage. 4.1 to 4.2 was, basically intensive care for us. Now, 4.2 to 4.3, we're actually starting to get better. Within that same respect, the Fiora Launchpad did cause us quite a good bit of headaches. We actually migrated to 4.3 for two primary reasons. One is the end of life for Windows 2008. So in order to move to Windows 2016 and Windows 2019, we had to upgrade our version. So if we upgrade our version, the first thing I'm going to look at is for the next most stable release. 4.3 was the most stable release that I found. Since then, the 4.1 and I'm sorry, the SP1 and then the patch 3, we were actually probably the cause for the first couple of patches, because we did find loss of functionality and some things that were broken that they were able to get fixed. But security vulnerabilities that were found in previous versions and OS platform compatibility, those were the two primary reasons for our upgrade.
So that's quite interesting, because a lot of people, each time there's a new version of Bob's, are saying, you know what, never update to the last, or wait until you've got at least a version 4 or above. That's what we've heard over the years. And what you're saying is it was easy to upgrade to 4.3, and actually it's pretty good. That's what you're saying, 4.3 SP1?
4.3 SP1, it's been pretty good.
That's good news.
I would say, yeah.
Okay, well, that's good, because it's always good to hear from customers. And I think 4.3 SP2 was out actually Friday last week, if I recall. Do you have any plans to go there?
Yes, we do. I do have plans on going there, but as soon as they hit 4.2, I am going to wait for a couple of service packs. I'm sorry, a couple of patches to come out on that one, just to see. And the main reason is because I don't have an essential need to move right away, and I am evaluating that one. In fact, one of the developers that I'm working with right now actually is looking at the 4.2 and some of the enhancements that were made.
And in terms of going to 4.3, so at that time you didn't have 360, and you were talking about the preparation. So, how much time do you think you would have saved in the preparation for documenting what you had to move to 4.3?
Oh, we would have saved at least 40% of our time, if not 50.
Okay.
And the biggest reason for that too is that at the specific time that we were upgrading, I was actually halfway through an upgrade when the end of life for 2008 came about, and I actually had to back up and start over again. And before I got completely finished with that, we actually had to take on a completely different environment that was on a different version of Bob J, very similar but different, and consolidate all of their information into our information, where we both pull data and had reports that had overlapping data sources. So actually having to go through and evaluate each one of their reports, universes, objects, and reporting capabilities, as far as like, why are you pulling this report? Where is it going? What are you doing with it? And finding the overlap between our current environment. Yeah, we would have saved a great deal of time.
And I think you were mentioning it took like 11 months to do the upgrade. So it's a lot of work to do. So
yes, it was a lot of work because, again, everything that we did, pulling all the information from just simple users to security to, like, say, like for the impact analysis for objects and everything, it was all done manually. It was done through customer interviews. It was done through universe documentation, query builder, and yeah, I can see where, like I say, this product, 40 to 50% is, and I used the wrong term a minute ago when we were talking about 80% when I said generous. Maybe conservative is a better word, because at least 40 to 50% of a time savings, I can see that very, very easily.
For the upgrade and migration in terms of preparation, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
So Chuck, as well, like we put together like a methodology around 10 steps on how to facilitate upgrades and migration. So it's something that I'm now showing on the screen. And I think Chuck is basically today using the 360I's components. And I'm sure you'll be using some other components in the future. And on the last point for today, in terms of regulation, so GSA, as all the federal organization, is highly regulated, and so of course you need to meet Data Act, FISMA, NIST 853, etc. So before, how are you doing the documentation, and how are you doing that today? Because that's a key point for regulation.
We were basically, all of our documentation was done manually, like I say, manually through previous documentation that was actually in discrete files or query builder, or the CMS driver going to the universe and trying to generate reports out of that, and then also trying to get reports from the audit database, which those are never fun. And now being able to utilize the 360, and where I'm really kind of excited about that is I go through an audit every 6 months. So every six months I go through a FISMA audit, which is internal, and then annually I go through an actual FSA audit, and all of those results actually are presented to Congress. So yeah, it scares me. That's not a test you want to fail. And with this particular product now, I truly feel like that I have a very, very good handle on this system, and will be able to provide any of the information that they are requesting.
And I understand
the
in
history,
the past,
I think, is also important.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely here with 360, you're actually able to get historical information, and you're able actually to compare, through snapshots, metadata. So for example, on the slide here, I'm now showing like security, where you're able to extract security and compare it over time. So any metadata within BobJ can be documented through the pre-canned Webby documents, and then can be compared through time. And Chuck, I think in the past you were relying a lot on scripts to do certain things.
Yes, that was one of the things. We used to have a script that would always go out, and because again, it's a security requirement for any user that has not been active for 30 days, that account become disabled. I don't want to delete it. All I want to do is simply disable it so that it's not sitting out there, active. And I used to have a script that would go out every day and basically bounce against a timestamp. And if the timestamp exceeded 30 days, it just simply disabled the account. very, very smooth and very, it's non-invasive to the user. But when we did upgrade, now that particular script doesn't work anymore. So.
And that's quite common since the architecture is different with 4.3. So we heard that type of story quite often. So anyway, I thank you very much, Chuck, for being with us today. I really appreciate your time, or for making time to share how you've been using 360 at GSA and to talk about 4.3 and also about regulation. So thank you very much, Chuck.
Well, thank you. I'm thoroughly enjoying the product so far.
Thank you very much, Chuck. And the experience with support was good, by the way?
Oh, very good. Very good. I'm the majority of the time when I've dealt with pretty much any application is that once you get past your sales folks and you start making calls or emails, you don't get near as good a response. But I would have to say I was also very impressed that once I was able to get set up and I had a specific need or I had just maybe a small glitch, that the support personnel were very responsive, knowledgeable, and very, very helpful.
That's good to hear, and I really appreciate it. I know we take good care, or we take great care of doing that. Thank you very much, Chuck. Patrick, are you still on?
Yes, I am, of course.
Patrick, do you want to take a couple Q&A? And Patrick, you were, and so Chuck is still on, and I was, perhaps we can chat around how, GSA could eventually use the API, referring to the scripts that Chuck had put together. And perhaps we've got some time to take a couple questions.
Absolutely, yes. If there are any questions, it's near the end of the webinar, so please go ahead and submit your questions. But Chuck, it was great to hear how you use the product, so thank you from my side as well for sharing your experience and taking the time to to share with the rest of the community. Bruno, to answer your specific questions, the script that Chuck was using to disable, not delete, but disable users who have been inactive for a period of time. So this is something that you can do out of the box with 360. So you can simply create an admin task. You say, I want to disable users who have not logged on for a number of days, and you can even be more granular than that if you would like. With the power of the API, what we have released earlier this year is that if customers have scenarios like this one that we have not implemented in the product as an admin task, well, you may not need to wait for us to implement it. Thanks to the API, you may be able to create a script, okay, but create a 360 script and not a business objects script. And that way, you're not bound to the business objects API, which often changes between service pack or for sure between releases like 4.2 to 4.3. So yes, implementing that API is a way to make our product even more powerful for customers like Chuck who have specific requirements, and they can do those even before we just add it in the product. I hope I have answered your question.
Chuck, do you have some questions for Patrick around leveraging the API?
I don't have any right now, just mainly because I haven't had a chance to get to that point, but I definitely would like to get more information on, how to implement that API. And again, I know it's probably in the documentation, but with this security vulnerability that come up lately, and also the NIST has come out with a new rev, and I believe I have about 75 new controls to document, which has kind of chewed up a lot of my time.
And I'm assuming you're referring to the NIST 853 revision 5, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Patrick, is there anything else you would like to cover today? I know, we've passed for sure the hour. Is there anything else, or?
I'm just looking if there's some questions. No questions, but somebody called Bob, who is thanking you, Chuck. He says it was very helpful. It was nice to see that I wasn't alone in my Bobjet experience. So there we go.
So that is cool. So, at the end of, this webinar, we would like to make sure that you take 10 seconds to fill up the exit survey to let us know how we did. Also, if you want to rate, the way Patrick was looking with his Christmas sweater, just, feel free to do it as well. That was actually quite funny, Patrick. I really enjoyed that.
For the spirit, I did my best to find the ugliest Christmas jumper I could find. So that was my mission.
Well, that's always the mission every year, and I know we all have, a good time just looking for that type of sweater. So that's pretty cool. So, folks, that's all. Thank you for joining. Hope you all had a good time. Be good, stay cool. Hope you're all good during the year so that you got lots of presents. Remember to visit wiiisdom.com, so Wiiisdom with 3 I's, and to discover about 360Suite for business objects, Wiiisdom Ops for Tableau, Wiiisdom Ops for Power BI. So that's the present from Patrick, who's managing the product for 2022 for Q1. So that's really awesome. And then if you want to request a demo, get trial keys, just let us know. Again, thank you very much, Patrick. Thank you, Tony. And then big special thanks to Chuck for joining today. Thank you very much, guys.